Hello there, welcome back to the Dark Elves Abridged Part 17. Last time we had some trouble with Chaos. They started raising our home territory. But at least further north, the current wave of elf invasions was taken down, in particular by a surprisingly successful defensive battle. Then our troops arrived after Chaos wasted a bunch of time sitting in the sea, meaning they haven't really done any more damage, and now it's time for us to take them out. This is a quote-unquote naval battle, and I guess that means you get a water-based map, so that's quite good for us. You can see there's a big passage of water right in front of our line, perfect for delaying the enemy while the shades do their thing. Annoyingly though, the enemy didn't attack me, they're just sitting on the other side, so now this puts a dent in my plans because I'll have to actually move and the terrain really doesn't suit that. For now though, I was contenting myself to use these harpies to try and drain the ammunition on their hell cannon. The hell cannon's shooting them, but by being behind all these trees, chances are their shots will hit something before they hit my unit. So I figured, well, I'll just sit here and wait for them to run out of ammo. That will make my life a bit easier and might cause the AI to start making some different decisions. They've also got their sorcerer leading this army, and it's the same sorcerer that I nearly killed previously with a death haggy sitting in amongst the artillery crew there, which gave me a thought, but we'll come back to that in a sec. In the meantime, I was admiring the background again. Time for another session of why is the background so much better than the foreground. We can see some gigantic beast skulls, and I was thinking, well, where are these units in the game? Perhaps that would be the final match for our Shades line, a gigantic Godzilla-like creature of some kind. Anyway, back to the battle. I eventually whipped out the Cane's Lash Black Arc ability to lightning strike their nearly dead sorcerer, which finishes him off. Actually, he's wounded. I'm guessing he's an immortal character. But the important thing is, taking him out causes the AI to kind of reset in some way, and they start just attacking me, which is great. Now I really can sit in front of this water and let the enemy get slowed down as they try to reach me, and of course get killed in the process. They're leading with these trolls on their own, absolutely perfect for us. Doesn't really look like they're being slowed down very much by the water. But it doesn't matter in this case because they have low morale, and that morale is going to be lowered further by having just lost their leader as well. They've got a load of these marauders with great weapons. Marauders aren't that strong, and the great weapons version has lower range defense, I think, in exchange for being better in melee. So basically, they're extra easy to kill compared to most things our shades have to shoot at, and that's going well. Some more trolls nearly made it across, but a summoned manticore stops them and sends them back. Shadesman now has a dragon, and his breath ability worked the very first time I tried it. I think we might have entered the era of the breath ability working. Not really sure why it didn't work before, but now it's working nearly every time. Unfortunately, without the Sword of Cain, his dragon is much less powerful than Lockyer, so it can't take out those chariots very easily. Overall though, we've got this one down. Most of the enemy army gets stuck in the center, distracted by my manticore. You can see they're walking sideways rather than towards me, meaning they're going to take even more shots. Their only hope is to rush my Shades line, and they're not even really doing it. You can see that balance bar's already swung to be pretty much there at this point in the battle. There were some melees going on the flank there where they made it in, but that's too little too late for the enemy. They're going to chain out soon enough. Here we see some of their trolls just being absolutely mowed down, the whole unit destroyed by a massive hail of Shades attacks. And with that, the hordes of Chaos are in trouble. I think overall they actually proved to be the weakest opponents we fought so far. I guess some of the Skaven enemies we killed earlier were pretty weak as well, but that was easy. Only a close victory, technically, but actually we stopped them almost entirely. The army did survive with a few units, but it's not going to survive for long because we can just do that again, or to resolve, and boom! That's the 2 Chaos armies we saw spawn next to us down, and it also says the Puppets of Chaos have been destroyed, their faction. I don't really know what that means because I seem to remember that Chaos just respawn after you kill them, although that was in Warhammer 1, so maybe the rules here in this kind of campaign and in this mod are different, but it seems we've got some breathing room at the very least. Almost a shame to not be fighting Chaos because that was sort of interesting for a little bit. Now we're back to this. The lizardmen are attacking us once again here at Tlangsta. Our small garrison is already basically dead due to Skaven Plague, so we lose that territory to them, but the good news is the ambush I set up right next to Gore Rock in the last part actually does work. He walks right into it. The balance bar's super uncertain, but I was just like, no. I know I've done much harder battles than this before and won. I refuse to believe I have to fight this manually. And I auto-resolved it, losing 2 units, but it's just 2 units of Dread Spears. And as mentioned to someone in the comments recently, that's kind of realistic, because yes, I probably would have sacrificed those Dread Spears in that ambush. And of course we can just get them back whenever. So that's all good. What I hoped to do was capitalize on that by taking the nearby lizardman territory. However, we're like ever so slightly lacking movement points. We can walk right up to it, but I probably won't be able to attack. So instead, we'll do some raiding this turn, and that will allow the Skaven Plague in the area to kill the enemy garrison a bit more anyway, so it will be easier next turn. And here we are after not much happens. Indeed, there's really nothing in there, so we kill them, even killing a new general they just recruited. Handy stuff. We are at risk now of getting Skaven Plague ourselves, but it is only 1 turn from going away. But that raises the question of, well, what does that mean about the dwarves nearby? Because they're probably at their weakest right now, so I wanted to rampage forwards and attack them before they rebuild after the effects of the plague. Grabbed some random achievement all of a sudden for some reason. As for Lockyer, who hasn't done much in a while, he was wasting time walking across the middle of the map through some neutral territory that he was raiding, but he's now arrived ready to take back that place we just lost to the lizardmen. No sign of their army in the area. There's a human rebellion building up north, but Shadesman is now moving across the northern part of our territory to go and either kill them or take back the territory if they take it before he arrives. Plus, him being up there acts as a defense against potential elves showing up as well. So I joined the war against the dwarves that was currently underway with some random Skaven allies in the next turn this is, and it was time to go. For reasons that at first I was confused by, I take attrition if I actually move into their territory here. It's because there's this mountain pass attrition that I didn't really know about apparently. I felt like I did remember this from playing Warhammer 1, but in this case it seemed like a surprise to me. Another surprise is that I can't get Dread Spears back in 1 turn. I think it's because we're now in a climate that Dark Elves aren't native to or something, so it gives you various debuffs to economy things, like construction times and recruitment times. So I can't immediately get the Dread Spears back. Therefore I thought, well, I'll just go without them. I'd rather attack the enemy sooner rather than later, so that we can exploit their weakness from the plague. I've got my little stack of trash going back to our home province because I would like to rebuild the places the Skaven blew up. That would certainly be useful. Shadesman gets close to attacking those rebels, but he can't do it, so they're going to have another chance to attack us if they want. As for Lockyer, he is in position. We can see the army that took this place is now nearby, but not nearby enough. They're just kind of hanging out in the countryside, so we swoop on in. I foolishly did occupy there, thinking about public order, but actually this place is already in rebellion, so I didn't need to do that, should have sacked it. Not that it matters an enormous amount, because the place was already nearly dead. Now, I mentioned last time that me randomly being at war with the Bretonnians would have consequences, and here they are. They actually do come from the top right of the map down to us to attack us. You can see they're also attacking my allies up at the top. I think, given that balance bar, Khorne are probably really powerful. They seem to be much more powerful than, say, Lothern, the quite powerful neighbour that we have. So what might have happened is they've actually taken out a lot of the parts of the map we can't see and have become extremely strong. And now they're coming to this side of the map, so we're going to have to deal with that soon enough. I move up on the dwarf settlement, and indeed their garrison is literally half dead. They probably got a turn of replenishment and would have been more dead if I attacked the previous turn, but this is still pretty good. We're going to do that battle because I was pretty sure that was doable, but I wanted to check out the other business first before I went into that. So here we have the Bretonnians. They've got 1 stack near the Awakening and 1 coming in by sea, but both stacks aren't full stacks, which is nice, so they only have 1.5 stacks worth of troops here. The Awakening is heavily defended. Now I was pretty sure I could take down either one of them, I just wasn't sure about taking down both. Looks like the rebels up near the Temple of Kara did not attack, and that was the wrong decision because this big dragon is sneaking up on them. Really could not be bothered with this battle, wasn't an ideal balance bar, but actually we get a fine result. The nice spread out casualties, Bean will just replenish them all back, and that was a free win. Now we'll get a big public order boost, and that place is now fine. As for Lockier's situation here, I wanted to finish off the lizardmen, but they're actually standing just on the other side of a river, so I can't attack them this turn. The other option is to go south, but the issue with that is the lizardmen will just take this territory back. So instead, I have to set up this ambush just outside to see if they will then try to attack the territory so that they waste their movement points crossing the river and I don't have to waste mine. And now, with all that set up, we swing back to the dwarf situation. Someone was mentioning in the comments that it's actually really easy to take settlements using pretty much just ranged units. And from my experience so far in this campaign, I was starting to believe it. So here's the ultimate test. We're really lacking in melee strength. Let's see what shades and bolt throwers can do to these dwarven defenders. Our first priority needs to be to get rid of the towers because they will slowly kill us over time. For some reason, these guys are using orc towers. I'm guessing this was an orc settlement and they swapped out everything except the towers. Maybe they liked the look. So yes, with our 4 units of Reaper bolt throwers, we actually have quite a lot of anti-building potential here. You can also say I am just walking into the tower fire. I was banking on the fact we'd kill them fast enough that I didn't need to bother like sacrificing a certain unit and staying at a distance or anything like that. So yes, we take out that one tower and I think I go for the other one next to it as well. And then the whole deal is our shades can move into range and bombard the walls. It has mixed results because in some places there's cover on the walls and in other places there's barely even like a tiny parapet, so the enemy are totally exposed. I guess the dwarves being shorter actually can hide behind smaller things, but still, our rain of bolts is doing damage. We're facing just a little bit of return fire. Mostly their ranged units don't have the range to attack us, so we can do this freely, but they do have these catapults at the back alongside their commander who's cosplaying as the Chad from the Shad Virgin field. Anyway, our bolt throwers switched to multi-shot mode, and now all these guys sitting on the wall are going to be prime targets. They're trying to defend themselves, meaning they stand still for short periods of time, and we just bombard them. Again, sometimes they're in cover, but broadly we're getting some good kills. I sent up my Reaver to just sort of be a distraction up on the wall. I accidentally sent the Sorceress in as well, but she didn't do much. Our Reaver doesn't do much either. He just sort of attacks, then stands there. Seems like these guys are very unenthusiastic. I feel like I've seen them not really bothering to fight in melee before, but it doesn't really matter in this case because the damage is being done by the ranged attacks. We are slaughtering all of these pretty decent melee units actually. Luckily they started half dead because of the plague, so it's a bit easier than it would usually be. But still, this is a nice pretty fireworks display, a nice yellow burst of incoming bolt fire, and then a red explosion of blood and sparks all over the place. Very pretty and nice and easy for me because as the player I don't have to actually do anything to make all of this happen. I can just sit back and watch the show. Looks like the Shades are picking up some kills as well. Their line of fire and their arcs of fire aren't quite as good, but still, they're helping and eventually everything's dead. I move into the town and their Chad commander at the back tanks like 1,000 bolts and then eventually routes after deciding that's a bad idea, meaning we have captured the settlement with really minimal damage, and I probably could have taken even less damage if I wasn't being so haphazard about just charging the walls at the beginning. I couldn't remember how much public order this settlement had, or this province had, so I didn't know whether I should avoid looting to stop a rebellion. In this case, looting was the right thing because there's definitely going to be a rebellion, so might as well just make it happen sooner and get the loot bonuses. As for what remains of this dwarf faction, they have a small army out there that's now dying of attrition. Really, I think we have these guys in the bag. Here's a shot of me getting a random name of power on this lesser officer, but the real purpose of this footage is to show something I edited out earlier by accident. The purple lizardmen have captured part of my home territory. I rebuilt one of the places that got raised, and they rebuilt the other one, so that's annoying. And speaking of the purple lizardmen, my Skaven allies ask me to attack them at the end of the turn. Now I do plan to attack them. They're basically to the left of that dwarf place I just took, so to complete this corner of the map we do need to take them out, but not right now. So I end the alliance with the Skaven, which brings up the point that they do need to also die for us to complete the unification of Lustria. That Dwarven army goes and besieges our guys inside the Dwarven settlement, so gonna have to deal with that. First, an update on the Bretonnian situation. I thought they might be going for the Awakening, but they appear to be bypassing it. One army's bypassing it on land, the other by sea. So not sure what to make of that. I don't know what their target is, but we need to try and get some good defenses going if they do attack us eventually. And for that purpose, I've got this commander I've recruited. I'm going to rush him by sea into the Blood Swamp, so if they attack there, we'll have an extra unit to help. These Black Arcs need to just run away because that Bretonnian army in the sea could focus them down if it really wanted to. Lockier's plan did work in that we drew the lizardmen across the river, but when I attack them they go back to the other side. Retreating works by distance rather than by movement points. So when you're near rivers, you can retreat technically really far, quote unquote, in that you can retreat several turns of movement away from where you were previously. Thus, I can't go after them and take them out, and this was pretty frustrating. We're just wasting our most powerful army sitting around here. So I just go into ambush right next to them and hope they come back over the river and die right away. Now we come to this dwarf situation. This is the sort of balance bar where normally I might just auto-resolve and stomach the losses it would probably give me. But I did want this army to stay as alive as possible because we've got more battles coming up, not only against the rebels next door, but there's a lizardman territory I want to attack as well. So here's the manual resolve of this. Not going to bother with the replay because it's pretty much just a quick ranged stomp. The dwarves have to play a game of can they run at me fast enough to not die and get my shades into melee. And the answer to that is of course no, not even close. They get absolutely obliterated, and their officers who almost make it in don't like the look of that balance bar, and their morale goes out the window. Looks like one of them's also netted down here, taking some extra damage. So that's that really. The Shades army is invincible. We are taking some damage from the enemy's catapults at the back. If they weren't here, that would have been a free victory. And generally I was just outraged the game forced me to actually go through a loading screen and do this. Eventually everything's dead and the hopes for this dwarf faction are out the window. They survive with one guy, their commander I guess, still alive. Maybe it's their faction leader or something. Well, he's not going to last long because we could just move out and kill him right now. And that's going to be the end of that. After this, I need to go and attack the rebels nearby as well. There's an orc rebellion building. Handily, that rebellion is still in movement range after I hack through all those messages. You can see there the amount of attention I pay to messages. I tend to not read them. And I actually have no idea what all of my characters have equipped. Whatever's been automatically equipped to them is their loadout. Anyway, so down go the rebels. We did lose another unit of crossbows there, which is annoying because, as I mentioned, it takes a couple of turns to get them back due to that unfavourable climate, I presume anyway. But in this case, we're missing 3 units, so I thought it probably is worth just waiting the 2 turns to go back to being a full-strength army. So we'll sit there and build some public order as well. The next Lockyer ambush plan does work, and finally we can stop wasting our time over here. We take down Gorok again. He's been ambushed so many times in this campaign, and Lockyer can then move south to attack the final Itzo Lizardman settlement. But Quran have decided on a target. They have stacked up to attack the Blood Swamps. I did get that commander in there, and there is a full stack garrison with walls as well. So not the worst situation, but as I said, I don't know how strong these armies combined will be, and they do have some good units like the Royal Hippogriff Knights. So potentially a worry, we'll just have to see. The only reaction I can do is to move this small stack of trash to potentially support. If they don't attack right away, I can arrive next turn. But you might note the haphazardness of my approach here. Normally I would ambush on the way to relieving a siege so they don't notice me doing it. And I bring that up because that is of course going to be relevant in a second. Shadesman in the meantime is coming along, back along that northern road to gradually pursue Quran. And here's the thing I was pretty much telling you was going to happen. One of their armies has come over and attack my approaching reinforcements. And because we're in forced march, I can't just move away, and because we suck and they don't apparently, I can't beat them on that balance bar. I was sitting here thinking their army doesn't look that strong, but it's probably a case where their commander or just the Hippogriff Knights would kill everything, and I guess they do have some good cav as well. So we just lose, we've lost our reinforcements, but the upside to this is it causes them to also break off the siege on Blood Swamps. They actually don't attack it. So in many ways we've just sacrificed that army to buy some time, because now they haven't really moved very far in their turn, and Shadesman is going to start catching up from the north. We don't want to make the same mistake, so we're going to switch to regular stance. I'm not sure if both of their armies actually can beat Shadesman together, but we're not going to find out the hard way, so we'll sneak up and hope they don't do too much damage in the meantime. Now Lockyer has been moving south, as I mentioned, to attack the last It's a Lizardman settlement. And here it is. No climax here, there's basically no strength, so we just stomp them into the ground, make the capture, going to generously do occupy to improve public order or deprove it less. I'm sure there's a better word than deprove. And there we go, the Eats have been defeated. We've finally ended our war with the White Lizardman faction at long last. That took a while. We still have to take down the Purple Lizardmen, but the Blue Lizardmen have been taken out by orcs, and we actually have non-aggression with those orcs, although we're probably going to want to kill them at some point. As for the Purple Lizardmen, they do have a pretty good setup. They've got 6 regions in a big line along the edge of the map, and of course another region in our home territory. As for their military forces, I don't know. We have seen their stacks moving around, and they're kind of just around the place. You can see one right there next to where Quran are moving. But we'll be focusing on that in the next part. For now, Quran are the main concern. It looks like they're going for the Fuming Serpent with both of their armies. So that's good. Them switching targets means that we have more time to react before they actually potentially take anything. What I do is an ambush and bait strategy here, with Shadesman trying to go hidden, and then this one guy with some bolt throwers just stands out in the open. The idea being that one of their armies might come back and try to kill that hero, or that general, sorry. And that does happen. They go back and Shadesman ambushes them, and that balance bar is what we like to see. So we just instantly delete that one army. I'm guessing that was the weaker of the two. Easy peasy. As for the other one, they were besieging Fuming Serpent, but they break off the siege and fortify after losing their companion army. Here I am doing some diplomacy because I want to start that war with the Purple Lizardmen right now. We've got missiles and Lockyer on their border, so I thought we might as well just go for this. I didn't really do any scouting. I thought I'll just see if we can storm in, and it looks like to start with we can. This region right here, the Chamber of Visions, and their capital next to it don't have any armies in sight at least. So for this first place we can just rush in with both armies, easy auto-resolve. And there we go, we've got the war started well. So the question is, where are their armies? With 7 regions, they're probably as strong as the Eats of Lizardmen were when we started our wars with them. And the answer, as far as I know, is they're just kind of around. You might have just spotted them in the background during other shots, like there's one there for some reason. It's because they've been walking around my territory for like half the game, and some of them have probably sailed off somewhere else. So overall, I don't really know what the Purple Lizardman's level of strength is and where it is. There's another one up there near Pox Marsh you can see sitting around. But we're just going to have to deal with that as it happens because we don't really have any concerted defense. We'll just see. But to conclude this part, I go on with Shadesman to attack the other Quran force. We've actually got a full stat garrison coming in to attack them from behind at the same time, but that balance bar still wasn't convincing enough for me. So I did get tricked into fighting this manually, so here's a brief bit of footage from that. You can see right from the start the balance bar is actually really far in our favour, so this is auto-resolvable, but here I am just kind of sacrificing my garrison with no particular strategy because it doesn't matter if they die, so I just kind of ran into the enemy's deployment zone and did some fighting as a distraction. And while that's going on, our main force with the Shades is taking out the enemy's good units. The Hippogriff Knights just get absolutely slaughtered by huge rains of bolts. And with their big damage dealers out of the way, now our garrison can probably just finish this off and I don't need to do much. I was considering doing some friendly fire with the teardrop attack here, but I saw a decent enough chance to use it against these peasant bowmen, and because the peasants aren't very strong, they actually died at that attack real fast, and that's very effective. So yes, that's it really. Now I just need to wait to win. The balance bar's looking even better at this point. Here was me absolutely destroying these peasant bowmen, and I like their enthusiasm. At first they don't really seem to notice what's going on as our line of shades just flattens them. Good to see these Bretonnian peasant scum dying. If you saw my Bretonnia campaign on this channel a long time ago, you'll know I hate nothing more than a Bretonnian peasant. Down goes their commander with some magic at the end. I could end the battle right now, but I was like, wait for it, because I'd also ordered the Cauldron attack, and there it is, annihilating our own men. Good to see. That's the end of that battle, and that means that's also the end of Quran's invasion. Well, for now, we've said that's the end of the invasion many times in this series, so who knows how many stacks they'll come back with next time, but for now, we've got out of that, and it proved to be relatively easy. I think even though they seem to be a stronger faction strategically, their armies are weaker than High Elf armies, so we can probably deal with them. Well, we'll see.